Hello neighbors, it's Brad here from eTrailer, and today we are taking a look at installing the TowSmart Trailer Hitch receiver on a 2018 Ford Explorer. And if you don't have a hitch on your Explorer, it's well worth adding one, and the TowSmart is going to be a great option for that. But it's really going to open up as to what you can do with your vehicle, whether you're loading up a bike rack, a cargo carrier, or hauling a trailer. So let's take a closer look. Something that's important with a trailer hitch is how is it going to look on your vehicle, and this one does a really good job of being mostly hidden. You're going to see a little bit of the cross tube right where the receiver is, but it sits right at the bottom of the fascia, giving you a really clean look overall. And this is a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which is really good because it's kind of the standard size when it comes to bike racks, cargo carriers, or ball mounts. So when you're looking for those accessories, you're going to have tons of them to choose from. And all of those accessories are going to stay in place with a 5/8 pin and clip. Now, this does not come with the hitch. A lot of times when you pick up accessories, they'll have them included. But if you plan on leaving your accessories on the back of your Explorer long term, you might want to look at a locking pin and clip. It becomes a really good deterrent for anyone walking by that might see your bike rack or cargo carrier or even ball mount and want to take that. It's going to stop them at least from being able to just pull that pin out. We have a plate style safety chain loop, and the openings are nice and easy to get a hook on there. Whether you're using a standard S hook for your safety chains or even a larger clevis style, you'll be able to get that on there fairly easily. And speaking of safety chains for towing, you're going to want to adhere to the weight capacities of not only the hitch, but also what the vehicle is capable of towing. So first step, check your vehicle's owner's manual and see what it's rated to tow, and then compare that with the hitch capacities. And this one is rated pretty good. Your gross trailer weight rating out the gate is going to be 4,500 pounds, which is the weight of the trailer plus the accessories loaded onto it. The tongue weight rating really comes into a lot of your suspended accessories. So if you're getting a cargo carrier out there on vacation or a 4x bike rack, you'll be able to do that pretty well with this because the tongue weight is 675 pounds. I really don't worry too much that you're going to overload it. Now, if you need a little bit of extra gross trailer weight rating, you can use a weight distribution hitch on this, and it's going to bump up the capacities just slightly to 5,000 pounds for that gross trailer weight rating. But with that on there, it is going to lower the tongue weight just slightly, which is going to come in at 500 pounds. But kind of looking at 5,000 to 500, that should put you right there in that safe tongue weight. So if you're using that weight distribution hitch, I don't worry too much that the tongue weight's going to cause you an issue. Some of your accessories like cargo carriers and bike racks have the availability to fold upward, and that's going to shorten the entire length of the vehicle, which is really nice when you don't have anything loaded onto it. But you do need to make sure that those accessories are going to work with this vehicle. Sometimes fascias stick out a little bit too far, making it where you can't fold those up. So measuring from the center of our hitch pin hole to the furthest point of our fascia, we're coming in about 3 3/4 inch, almost 4 inches. So I don't worry too much that you're going to have any issues with most accessories. But things to keep in mind, when those are folded up, sometimes they can block your rear view camera, your license plate. I don't worry too much about the taillights, but in order to open up your rear hatch, you are going to need to fold those down. So just something to keep in mind when going down the road. Now, another important measurement is going to be your ground clearance, and that's not to say that things are going to bottom out. But when you do have a cargo carrier bike rack, it will extend the length of the vehicle quite a bit. So as you go up an incline, those can tilt towards the ground, and you don't want to bottom those out. But measuring our ground clearance is really going to come into play when choosing a ball mount. So from the top of our receiver tube opening to the ground, it's 16 inches. And the best way to determine a rise or drop necessary to get a nice level towing experience is to get your trailer on flat level ground and measure from the ground to the top of the coupler. From there, you can take that measurement, compare it with ours, and then determine that rise or drop necessary. Another way to avoid that is to get an adjustable ball mount. So the main thing is getting that trailer as nice as level as possible, and that way you have a great towing experience. Overall, it's a really easy installation to knock out. I would give yourself maybe an hour. You might want an extra set of hands just to help you raise that hitch up and get some of the hardware started, but beyond that, this is definitely one that you can knock out at home. I'd recommend having a torque wrench available before starting. That way you can torque that hardware down. So for you DIYers, I'll walk you through all the steps to make sure that it's installed. But if you watch the video and decide, I don't have the time, the place, the tools, or even the want to do this, I totally understand. Don't let that deter you from getting a hitch on your vehicle, because it really does make a big difference as far as what you can do with it. So if that installation is holding you back, you can use our dealer locator to find someone close to you to install this for you so you can be out on the road. You'll just simply put in your zip code and find a list of shops around you that can get this hitch installed. For you DIYers, let's take a look at that installation, and we're going to get this hitch installed on your Explorer. To get our installation started, we're going to be lowering down our mufflers, and there's going to be 3 isolators that we're going to tackle. And the reason we're lowering this down is because our hitch is going to bolt up into the frame rail, but as you can see on our factory tow hook as well as our exhaust isolator, those brackets are pretty well in the way that we're going to be mounting up the hitch. So getting those exhaust isolators down, we'll be bolting those up a little bit later to our hitch. And something I'd recommend doing is when you're dropping this, you want to make sure that it's not going to be hanging too much, putting stress on the exhaust long term while you're getting it installed. So I'm just putting a cam buckle strap. You can use just a box or something along those lines to support the exhaust as we're lowering it down. And the 3 isolators that we're going to tackle, 2 of them are going to be on the exhaust tip side right off of the muffler. And to get that pried off, you can use the exhaust tip as leverage and use a pry bar or a large flathead screwdriver. And we're just going to pry on this rubber until we pop it off that bottom hanger. Now, over time, these can kind of, I'm not going to say seize up, but definitely be a little bit tricky to pry off. So if yours fights you, what you can do is spray a little silicone or soapy water, and that's going to help lubricate this to be able to pop off nice and easy. So here's the first one. The other one's going to be located on the other muffler, so similar concept there. And then there's going to be one that's on the rear cross member that we'll be taking off as well. Same concept on the cross member hanger. Now just be aware that once you drop this, it's very possible that it's all going to kind of drop down a little bit. So make sure that your head is not underneath anywhere on the exhaust to where it'll hit you. Now this one I don't have as much leverage, but you can put the pry bar into the exhaust isolator. And the bracket that has the isolator, well, we're going to be removing that using an 18mm socket. So on the passenger side, there's just 2 bolts, so we'll get those taken down. And we'll set this aside. Now on the driver's side, it's going to be very similar, except there's going to be 1 more bolt that's on the side. Now we're not going to be reinstalling either of the brackets, the tow hook as well as this bracket here, but we need the isolators because we're going to be bolting them up to this outside tab, and that's going to become the new mounting point for our exhaust to hang. So we can get these pried off. I have an exhaust hanger removal tool. Something I found to make this a lot easier is take the isolator and just rotate it around. Mine felt like it was almost glued on there. It's just from build up over time, so I would rotate it. That'll loosen it, and it's going to make it a lot easier to get these to pop off. To get the isolators put on our hitch, we're going to grab our long carriage bolts, and they're going to feed through this tab, and then we're going to take our isolator, slide this on, and then we're going to grab one of the flat washers and one of the nuts. Now there's 3 nuts in the kit and they all look pretty similar. One is larger than the other 2. The larger one we're going to use a little bit later, so set that aside and we can thread this on. And this is a lock nut, so it's going to not completely thread on easy. You're going to have to use some tools to get it to tighten down. An 11/16 socket is going to accomplish that for us. And my battery's dying here, but we want to tighten this down to where it's going to hold that carriage bolt in place. You might want it to where you have a little bit of adjustability still, just so we can get that hanger back on, but we'll snug this down. Snug down, there's no real slop, but I can still move this, and that's kind of what we're looking for. We'll just repeat that same step on the other side. Now we're going to head to our passenger frame rail and we're going to get a bolt mounted up. There's a small access hole right in front of the bracket that had the exhaust hanger on there. And this is going to be a mounting point, so we're going to create that by using our spacer block, our pull wire, as well as our carriage bolt. So what we'll do is feed that spacer onto that threaded portion of the pull wire, and then we thread the carriage bolt on. And what we'll do is feed this up, same with that spacer block. And you may have to jostle it around a little bit, but once this drops down, we're going to leave it just like this. With that pull wire on, this is going to be key because we'll feed this through the hole on the hitch, and as we raise that hitch up, we don't run the risk of pushing this back up in the frame rail. That wire is going to keep it right exactly where we need it. Something else that you may want to check, luckily the bolts for the hardware on the exhaust hanger were already here. So these weld nuts should be nice and clean, but just double check, grab one of your bolts and run it through, make sure it's nice and easy to feed that in. If you want to grab an extra set of hands, now is a great time to do that. Take your exhaust isolators and point them down, that way we have plenty of space. And each person, you're going to want one bolt with a conical tooth washer. There's teeth on here. We want that facing towards the metal on the hitch. And as we raise this up, we're going to feed that pull wire on our passenger side through the front hole. And our goal as we raise this up is to get one bolt at least started with a few threads to hold the hitch up for us. So have that hardware ready for each person. So I have Ethan here helping me, and we'll raise this up. We may need to shift our muffler just a little bit just to get that space. But as we feed this through, I'm going to pull that pull wire up, and that should guide us to that stud that we just put up there. And I'll get these started. And if you have another one, you can get that started as well. But again, the goal is to get one started on each side. That way the hitch will support itself. Once you have those started, you can pull that pull wire off and just make sure that it doesn't pass up into the frame. And the best way to do that is grab your extra conical tooth washer that you have and feed that on, making sure that that carriage bolt stays in place. And if you push against it, that'll put tension on it, and then you can thread on that nut. Now, if you're having trouble getting that stud to pop through all the way to get it started, you can snug these down a little bit more. It should draw it up, and then you can get this hardware up. Once all the hardware is started, we can snug it down using a 3/4 inch socket. You don't need to get too crazy here because we're going to come back with a torque wrench immediately afterwards and get everything torqued properly, but this is going to cinch that hitch up. Go through with that torque wrench, and the torque settings are found in the instruction manual. And this is going to make sure that long term we can tow safely with our hitch, but also it's not going to be too tight, especially when it comes to weld nuts. You can really damage these by overdoing it. So the torque wrench really makes sure that we have these perfectly where we need them to be. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can get one here at eTrailer. You can generally go to an auto parts store and rent one for free, but this is going to be an important step and really make sure that your hitch is going to be able to handle what you throw at it. With all of that torqued down, we've officially installed our TowSmart hitch. All that's left to do is get our exhaust put back up into the isolators, remove our strap or whatever you had supporting your exhaust, load up your accessories, put in your pin and clip, and then you're ready to hit the road. Thanks for joining us. If you do have some pictures of your install or what you're using it for, feel free to send those as well. We love to see neighbors out there using our products out in the wild and what accessories you're taking on to your adventures. With all of that being said, my name's Brad. Thanks for watching a look and installation of the TowSmart Trailer Hitch Receiver on a 2018 Ford Explorer.